Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me on the phone? Or on the video screen? Welcome to the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting on August 20th, 2020. We'll call this meeting to order, and at this time we will take care of the roll call. Ms. Robinson, if you will help us with that.
Chairperson Scott Black.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Olivia Diaz. Commissioner Cheryl Davis. Commissioner Sharon Davis. Commissioner Misha Hooks. Commissioner Tick Sagerbloom. Commissioner Dan Shaw.
So it doesn't seem that the folks on the WebEx can hear us, so we're going to pause just a second until we can make the connection. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
We can hear you now, Scott.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. So we're gonna start the roll call over really quick. Ms. Robinson, if you'll help us with that.
Chairperson Scott Black.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Olivia Diaz. Commissioner Cheryl Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Davis. Commissioner Misha Hooks. Commissioner Tick Sagerbloom. Commissioner Dan K. Shaw. Commissioner Lawrence Weekly. A quorum is present and we are in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law.
Thank you so much, Ms. Robinson. If you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll go to item number 2 on the agenda, which is public comment. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters that are on the agenda for discussion and possible action today. If you wish to be heard, come to the speaker's podium, clearly state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed will be limited to 3 minutes. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chair or the board by a majority vote. Are there any here today that would like to speak on items that are posted on the agenda for possible action today?
That's the only thing you can speak on public comment?
For the first public comment, the second public comment would be any items on or off the agenda. Yes, ma'am. So we have some folks in the back. Do we have a microphone that we could take back to them? Are we not doing that? Or are you able to come forward if you can? If not, we'll facilitate a microphone for you. But if you're able to come forward and speak at the microphone, that would be awesome, and I'd invite you to come forward at this time. For posted agenda items. Okay, hearing none, we'll close the first public comment, and we'll go to item number 3, approval. Hey, Nisha.
Hi, good morning.
Good to see you. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 16th, 2020. I'll entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved, Madam Chair.
And okay, so we have a motion by Councilwoman Diaz, welcome, and a second by Commissioner Cheryl Davis. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any in opposition? For voting on the WebEx, if you don't mind, if you're in opposition, just state your name for the record. If your vote is up in the affirmative, then we'll be okay in that regard. That passes. Item number 4. That's okay. Approval of the agenda with inclusion of any emergency items and deletion. Approval of the agenda with the inclusion of any emergency items and deletion of any items for possible action. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
I wanted to make a comment. I tried to log in last month, but I wasn't able to get through, so.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
I did try to get in.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Don't get paid.
So we have did you make the motion for approval of the agenda, Nisha?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And second. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Hooks and a second by Commissioner Diaz. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Section 2 is our consent agenda that comprises items number 5 and 6 on our agenda. Are there any questions about the consent agenda from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as shown.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Commissioner Diaz and a second by Commissioner Cheryl Davis. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any in opposition? That motion passes. We will go to section three of our agenda today, Commissioners, Executive Director recognitions. The first item under this section, the only item in this section is number 7, acknowledgement of our departed. Mr. Williams, will you share with us that information?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairperson. The past report of those who have unfortunately departed us include Carlos Rolders of Brown Homes and Arlino Valero of Marble Manor.
Okay, if, yes, sir.
There is a gentleman that's James Down, his name is Barry White.
Mr. Barry White? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's from last month.
Okay, so if you'll all join me, ladies and gentlemen, in a moment of silence and recognition for these 3 individuals that we have lost from our public housing community. We're having a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your reverence and reflection on these individuals. We'll go to section 4, and this first item is number 8. These are items for discussion and possible action. Approval of revision to the Personnel Handbook, Rule 5.7.4.1, background checks. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Currently, the Personnel Handbook limits the Housing Authority's inquiries into criminal records checks. The revision strengthens the language of the agency to be able to conduct educational and social security verifications, motor vehicle and accident history, credit checks, and other types of background investigations at the time of hire. Additionally, it will expand our capability to conduct background investigations on employees throughout their employment without obtaining an employee's authorization again. Staff is requesting review and approval of the Personnel Handbook, Rule 5.7.4.1, regarding background checks. I did provide some additional supplemental information around 10 a.m. To the board and passed out that supplemental information in the chambers on the type of positions and the time of hire, those background checks that will be conducted, and those positions that will have specific background checks on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. I'll open up a public forum for this agenda item. Are there any in the audience would like to speak on this matter, this agenda item?
I do know, but they ain't got the mic no more.
We do have a mic, yes ma'am. And some background music.
Where they come from?
I don't know, but it was nice.
Beatrice Turner. I understand y'all got to do a background check, but you know, as for the credit background part, that'll stop somebody from getting a job. It'll be a whole lot of people won't be able to get a job because of their credit. Because there's a lot of people right now got bad credit behind all of this virus and everything that happened now. That part, y'all need to take out. The credit check.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Any other comments regarding this agenda item number 8? We'll close the public hearing and I'll turn it to the board for questions, discussion.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Vice Chair Diaz, yes ma'am.
To Ms. Turner's point, Mr. Williams, could we, I guess, clarify why we would need the credit check and to what level it would hamper an individual's ability to secure employment with the agency? I think it's important that we know that before we decide if we want to move forward or not. I do see her point, it's very valid. A lot of people are at the end of their rope financially right now, and it could be due to them losing a job, being laid off, not having enough savings, that then they're in arrears financially. So I just wanted to kind of get a feel for you. What do we examine in their credit and what are we looking at?
Yeah, so I'm very empathetic, particularly for those of us who are minorities. Credit checks have historically been used to discriminate in the employment practices of those that are African American and Latino and Asian and Native American. What we're looking at is individuals who are particularly in our finance department or individuals who have the authority to execute any type of procurement activities, and individuals who we issue credit cards to for the agency. What we will be looking for is identifications of fraud that may indicate some troubles of money management or fraud in those activities, and we want to do our due diligence to ensure that. For example, as of right now, the only individual who has had a credit check here at the agency is the executive director. But at the same time, people in the positions of chief operating officer or chief administrative officer or directors who have authority up to a certain amount of money, we would like to know and to ensure to protect the agency with that. And so that's what we're focused on. It's not going to be every employee here at the agency.
Y'all gotta do one on y'all procurement person.
Yes, Commissioner Cheryl Davis.
I have a question for you, Mr. Williams. How far back are you going with the background check? Because you know there's some agency that goes back 7 years, some 10. How far are we going back?
So we typically, as of right now, look back at criminal history on the past 5 years. We will not start implementing this change once the board approves that until calendar year 2021 of January 1st. And then individuals on their annual term here at the agency will get that background check. So let's give, for example, if we have like an FSS coordinator that may have some criminal activity dealing with a family or a child, right? I don't want to get the specifics of what those criminal activities could be, but that's something we would like to know, and particularly with our individuals in our supportive service program to interact with our elderly and our children in our programs. We want to make sure that there's nothing going on that may cause liability to the agency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Mr. Williams. It states here there are 4 categories of background at time of hire and then 3 that are post-hire, it looks like, on an annual basis. Is the credit check component not part of or is part of the time of hire?
No, it's not.
Okay, so it's not, so the 4 that are listed at the time of hire would be the ones that are evaluated for employability?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. Other questions from the board who are present or those that are on the WebEx? Questions or comments regarding this agenda item?
Oh,
Mr. Weekly's hands are in the air. Can we make it where he can speak to us and we can hear him? Okay, we can hear you now. Sorry about that, sir.
We can't understand what it's speaking.
Oh, you can't hear?
You can understand what we're saying here?
Not really.
I think we might have a troubled internet connection here, and so if you'll give us a moment, we'll see if we can do some quick diagnostics on that and make sure that you can all hear us clearly before we proceed, which doesn't look like that is occurring in this moment. He can't hear. Very muffled. The lights were all red today and the internet doesn't work on Ms. Diaz. Traffic lights were all red to get here and the internet's not working. But we'll make it. How about now?
No.
I see a message from someone saying.
We can hear them.
Yeah, it's this one. We can't understand what Mr. Weekly's saying either.
Get the mixer output from there.
Say that again, Councilman Shaw.
I can't even understand this. Sorry.
Okay, we understand. We'll try to figure that out.
It's pounding and it's muffled and it's almost
Y'all just
impossible.
had these meetings in the county commission chamber.
I'm trying to speak without the mics on.
Yeah, Dahlia said it's back.
What's that?
I'm trying to speak without the mics.
Oh, they're not using my mic, but I don't even have my mic on.
Because you can hear the feedback.
I know I have my mic on, but I sound like that.
Y'all had a meeting at the county commission chambers.
Got the mics.
Everybody can hear it. Even get it.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's a dial in option.
Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen, as we sort through this technical issue. At least it's nice and cool in here.
No, that's why y'all had y'all meetings at the county commission chamber.
Yeah, not a bad idea. We'll figure it out. But right now for this meeting, we're going to make it work here. So hang tight, folks.
Next meeting will be at the county commission chamber or at North Las Vegas chamber. Well, all of them can be there.
What's the difference?
Cause this one up there ain't got a local room, and this one, you see, you can't get.
Oh, you
it.
gotta be 16 first.
Both will get you there.
So Fernando, are we going to have people call in? Are we,
I'm sending a message to the
you're
chat.
sending them all a
Yeah,
message to
yeah,
call in?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
Do we want to unmute Commissioner Weekly and see if he can hear us better?
I can do that.
Do his phone line?
Lawrence want to speak.
Yeah, can we unmute him?
You got one here, we got the say. You got one to say.
Okay.
There's still.
You're unmuted. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I hope you do it say that.
Mute the video.
The video feed.
Can you folks on the WebEx hear now at all?
Patricia said the same issue when you called.
Everybody.
Same. She said same issue.
Yeah.
There's 3 call-in users that aren't unmuted, so I don't know if that's causing.
Okay, eliminate me.
Let me change one more second.
It's actually worse with that.
Is that any better?
If the column, an option was worse than the other.
I can hear him good.
Now we can hear him. Now, just, I think we need to ensure that everybody stays on mute until it's their turn to talk. And then we can unmute themselves, because I heard Commissioner Shaw pretty clearly.
That was the clearest it's been.
Okay, there's not us.
Going out.
See if Mr. Weekly. So let's test this out, Tommy, and you want to talk to them like so they can hear you.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
They know they wasn't set up to be doing that here.
Wave if you can hear me.
Just have everybody sign off and sign back in.
Everybody call in.
Man, if Heavy
No, you
D
said they
still
can
work
hear
here, he'll make that work.
Dahlia said she can hear me
Yeah, she said she can hear me.
clearly.
Yeah. Well, she said barely.
Oh, Shayna said she can hear.
Wave your hand if you can hear me.
Yeah, Frank can hear me.
Okay, meeting, over.
Commissioner Weekly, can you hear me? A little bit. It's just the same situation.
Can you make sure that your computer volume is turned all the way up?
Cancel this meeting and move.
Commissioner Shaw, can you hear me?
He already said he couldn't hear.
Commissioner Shaw, can you hear me?
Can hear you, but it's muffled and there's an echo, so you can't get a straight answer.
So if you've called in, make sure that your computer microphone is muted. Is that any better?
I muted the phone. He needs to unmute the phone.
No, y'all wouldn't set up the meeting.
Commissioner Shaw, unmute your phone. Still muted.
We don't know what call it is. He stopped somehow.
All right, how about now? See, I gotta mute all of the callers.
Cancel this meeting. And move it. No, they ain't equipped to do this.
Not just the other notifications, just bigger.
Yes, and it's more equipped to do it.
Oh, you mean Zoom thing? Or just the social
They don't have to
distancing?
do that in the change.
Like your social distancing?
Yes.
Looks like Mr. Wheatley's on twice. He's in here twice. Yeah, he signed on twice.
Do we have any conference call capabilities in here? Where they
Yeah,
can
this is a
use
conference call line.
Traditional phone line, the conference call?
Just have everybody sign off.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. You have a way to communicate that to them?
I can send it to the via the chat.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
If the individuals on the WebEx can hear me, we're going to convert this over to a conference call. Tommy will be giving you the call-in number, and we're going to convert it to a conference call line, and we're going to omit the WebEx component. That will be our plan C, I think we're up to, maybe D. And then we'll be able to resume the meeting. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, that are here in the chambers for your patience.
Oh, it's got his hands up.
Hey, Tommy, is it the number that's on screen, the 415-655-0000?
Yes,
No.
that's the number?
No, I just sent it via the chat. It's the 888 number. 888-740-4219. And also there's a participant ID. 152-697-pound. Check the chat window.
Welcome to CenturyLink conferencing. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. And now,
Frank's cell phone number?
please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed.
We need him to log off the WebEx.
When you hear the tone, you will be the third person to join the meeting.
They should be able to hear you now.
Okay, commissioners that are calling in on the line, if you'll just state your name for the record if you've joined us via phone, and then we'll resume our meeting. We have Commissioner Weekly, can you hear us, sir, through the phone line?
Come on.
Hey,
How about you, Councilman Shaw? Can you hear us?
Yeah, yes, can hear now.
Okay, how about you, Commissioner Segerbloom? Can you hear? All right, how about you, Commissioner Weekly? Can you hear us on the conference call line? Is he not called in?
He's still on the WebEx.
He's still on the WebEx. He's not utilizing the conference call?
No, I'll call him.
Yeah, we should all use the conference call. It sounds like that's going to be our most effective option at this time.
You're gonna call him.
Okay, so the number is,
Chad said,
Did you text the number?
740.
It's in the chat window.
42.
What's the number?
740
42
4219. The passcode is 152 697
Yeah.
pound.
So Lawrence is calling in, and someone needs to get the information to Tick.
I'm texting him right now.
Do you have Donnie's number? Can you have him call him?
How can you say that happened to her recently?
Yeah, we started our city council meeting yesterday 20 minutes late because of technical issues like this. It must be the week for technical issues. Getting all the bugs out before school starts. Right, Olivia? We're going to be locked in until Monday.
I mean, it's worked the past three times. So, I mean, it happens.
That's 888-741-42.
888-740-42.
740?
Yeah.
740.
Is this thing working here?
Oh,
740 42.
hello.
Okay, so we have Sharon Davis on the conference line. Do we have Commissioner Weekly?
Yes, sir, I'm on, and Tick is trying to get on.
Okay, great. And then how about you, Councilman Shaw? You're still there?
I'm still here, yes.
All right. You can always go back to the telephone technology. All this fancy video stuff, you can always default to the old school. I like it. As long as we don't have to go back to dial-up modems, just in time for school to start. Okay, we're going to get back with the agenda. We're on item number 8. I'm going to just ask that we tee this item up from the top, and the item, I'll read it in. Approval of revision to the Personnel Handbook, Rule 5.7.41, background checks. Mr. Williams, if you'll get us with that review of what you did, and then we can have a discussion about it.
Actually, before we do that, can we just have a quick roll call to see who's actually
Absolutely. So, Ms. Robinson, if you'll help us with a roll call, and then we'll resume item number 8.
Chairperson Scott Black.
I'm here, still.
Vice Chairperson Olivia Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Cheryl Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Misha Hooks.
Here.
Commissioner Tick Sagerbloom. Commissioner Dan Shaw.
I'm here.
Commissioner Lawrence Weekly. A quorum is present. We are in compliance with Nevada open meeting law.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dominique. All right. How about item number 8? Approval of revision to Personnel Handbook Rule 5.7.4.1, background checks. Mr. Williams.
You want to wait for Sergio to?
There's somebody else.
No.
No.
Just kidding. Just kidding, Tick. We'll wait for you.
Okay, this is Tick, I'm out.
All right. Excellent. Mr. Williams, take it away.
Thank you. Going back, currently the Personnel Handbook limits the Housing Authority's inquiries into criminal records checks. The revision strengthens the language for the agency to be able to conduct educational and Social Security verifications, motor vehicle and accident history credit checks, and other types of background investigations at the time of hire. Additionally, it will expand our capability to conduct background investigations on employees throughout their employment without obtaining an employee's authorization again. Action is requested by staff is to review and approve of the Personnel Handbook, Rule 5.7.4.1, background checks. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm going to reopen the public hearing on this. We had one comment, I believe it was from Ms. Turner, and she was speaking relative to the credit check and the potential negative impacts on people's employability during these precarious financial times. And I believe the answer to that was that it was not at the time of hire, the credit aspect. That's job description specific. Is that correct, Mr. Williams?
Yes, job specific, specific to the job description, mostly for those in finance and individuals who handle our financial transactions.
Understood. Did anyone else like to comment or speak relative to this item on this reopened public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. I'll turn it over to the board for any questions that you may have for staff or discussion relative to this agenda item.
Mr. Chair, and I just think to fill in our colleagues, our fellow commissioners that are on the phone line that couldn't hear our previous discussion, I know that I asked about the extent of the credit check and how it impacted, but then you pointed out succinctly that at the time of hire, credit checks are not considered as criteria for employment, but it could then be vetted annually if they had a position that involved finances or any position that we think could have a liability on the agency. So it's prospective and it doesn't preclude someone initially from being hired. And the executive director also pointed out that credit checks have been utilized in the past to hinder especially communities of color's ability to have access to some of these positions. So it brought relief for me to know that we don't necessarily use a credit score or a credit check to make hiring decisions, but I think it is important for that accountability piece after they have the job. And I think they're always given an opportunity to explain why their credit is coming up the way it is, but if you're handling a credit card and you have fiduciary responsibilities and financial responsibilities with the agency, then we just want to make sure that we're checking in.
Thank you, Vice Chair Diaz. Are there any comments or questions regarding this item for the four individuals, commissioners that are calling in on the conference line?
No, I'm good with the change.
Okay. Anything from you, Commissioner Weekly or Commissioner Davis or Commissioner Segerblum? All right, hearing no comments or questions, I'll turn this item over to the board for a motion. Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the revision to the Personnel Handbook from Commissioner Cheryl Davis and a second from Commissioner Misha Hooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any in opposition, both here present or on the phone, please state your name. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Thank you so much. We'll go to item number 9, approval of the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority's operating budget for fiscal year ending September 30, 2021. Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chairperson, attached are the copies of the fiscal year 2021 operating budgets for the SNRHA's conventional low rent program, our AMPS, the Central Office Cost Center, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, the Affordable Housing Program, the Neighborhood Stabilization Programs, as well as agency grants. The budget covers our estimated operating receipts and expenditures, along with some non-routine expenditures. Upon board approval, the SNRHA will adopt the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. The action that's being requested is that the board approve operating budget for SNRHA for the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2021. Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I will open the public hearing on this item. Any would like to speak? Mr. Hawkins, yes, sir, if you'd like to.
Yes, all I want to know is.
Please step to the microphone. I'm sorry. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Daryl Hawkins with Sartini Plaza. All I just want to know is, does that include security for the budget for 2021? Yes? No? Yes?
Yes.
Great, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
I need the mic.
Dr. Scott, how you doing, sir? We'll get the mic to Ms. Turner after Dr. Scott.
I just wanted to know, Dr. Scott, does it include the executive director's salary? And I do believe that we have one vacant position for North Las Vegas for a resident. So my question is, because I know that there's fees that are incurred per meeting for those individuals, but for the executive director, I still have not gotten an answer on the review of his performance. And if we're forecasting a budget for the next fiscal year and it includes his salary, I think we need to, first of all, decide whether or not if he's going to be in place. So to do this right now may be a little bit preempted because this was supposed to be reviewed 7 months ago. We still have not had a review of him. It was held in abeyance. Nobody's talking about that. So I think we really